Hi, also to recap lesson 4, where we worked mostly on multiplication and division, we did a few different methods of that. The first method we talked about was called the grid method. So for that method, we take each number and we split it into the tens and the units. We set up our grid. So here we've only got tens and units, so we only need 4 boxes. So we take our 40 and we split that from our 5 and our 20, our 7, and then we just multiply across each box. So 2 times 4 is 8, and then there's 2 zeros. And then 20 times 5, 100. 7 times 4 is 28. Add the 0. 7 times 5 is 35. And then we'd simply add all of these together at the end. So we'd have a 5, and then so that up to 11, so we'll have 1, and we'll also carry a 1. And then 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 8 is 11. 11 plus this one down here gives me a 2 and a 1. So my final answer would be 1,215. So we talked about that method. We also talked about the lattice method, which looks like this. And I'm going to do an example of that. We spent quite a lot of time using this method. I think it takes a little bit of time to set up, but once you're using it, it can save a lot of time. So for this method, we don't separate it into, for instance, hundreds, tens, and units. We just keep the numbers as they are. We'll start off by drawing our box. So we're going to have 3 by 2. Then we're going to have our diagonal lines. So our diagonal line goes through all of the boxes. And then we put our numbers at the top. 2, 1, 2. And then here 24. And then we multiply across. One of the key things here is if we have 2 times 2, that's going to give us 4. So remember that here would be our tens. So there's 0 tens and then 4. And then 2 times 4 is 8. So we'd have a 0 and an 8. 1 times 2 is 0, 2. 1 times 4 is 0, 4. 2 times 2 is 0, 4. And 2 times 4 is 0, 8. After that, we just add along the diagonals. So here we're just going to have an 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. 2 plus 8 is 10. So we're going to have a 0 here, and we're going to carry a 1. So now we'd have 4 plus the 1 is 5. And here we just have a 0. So our final answer, we just take the numbers from the bottom. So 5, 0, 8, 8. We also talked about how we could multiply decimals, and luckily for us, all we need to do is multiply like we would with whole numbers, and then count the number of decimal places in the problem and put the same amount in at the end. So just an example here, I've got 2.34 multiplied by 1.2, and I can multiply those taking out the decimal point. So just do 234 times 12. And at the end, because there's 3 decimal places in total, I just count 3 decimal places and add my decimal point.